Bill O'Reilly started in on this yesterday. We talked about it yesterday as well, but in case you missed it, we wanted to get Bill O'Reilly on and compare notes on what he has seen with Judge Kavanaugh and the George Soros money and how it ties to Dr. Ford. Welcome to the program, Bill O'Reilly.
All right, Beck, let me put down my copy of Addicted to Outrage. All right?
Oh, my gosh.
I've been reading it at 6 in the morning. Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, you know, we're in a time now where I think it's a tipping point. It'll be interesting to see how this Kavanaugh thing comes out, but I think people are paying attention. Here's my question. Who's paying Dr. Ford's lawyers, Christine Ford's lawyers? Who's paying? She's not paying them. Who's paying them? Why isn't the press looking into that? Who's behind this movement? These lawyers are radical leftists. Why did she hire them? If you were an aggrieved American, the first law firm you're going to go to is somebody that is tied in with George Soros. Katz, her main lawyer, works on a foundation that Soros basically funds. This is where you're going. So none of it adds up, and people have got to pay attention to it.
So, Bill, I have the American people have just been a Huffington Post poll has been taken in the American people. 28% of men believe her. Only 25% of women believe her. Out of that number of the 25%, how many do you think are only saying this? How many actually do you think actually believe her? And how many are just political zombies?
Beck, I can't possibly answer that. I mean, it's speculation, but what I can tell you is this. You mentioned the virtuous left out in California, and that's who's driving Judge Kavanaugh is guilty, even though they have no blanket clue whether he's guilty or not. But because they feel good about destroying Kavanaugh, primarily because of abortion, they can say whatever they want to say. Due process? No. Did you hear the other night, Beck, that Chris Cuomo on CNN said, you know what, due process, presumption of innocence, that's just in courts. That's not really in American society. That's not in our...
Where does Chris Cuomo think we got the laws?
Right,
we codified what society feels is right and just, wrote it down and said, this is who we are.
It's worse than that. The founding fathers fought a war because they wanted a just society because King George wasn't just in their opinion. And part of the just society is, unlike France, which has a Napoleonic code that you're guilty until proven innocent, you're innocent until proven guilty, not just in a court of law, but in society. You can't be pointing fingers at people going, prove you're not a rapist. I mean, but this is what it is. You're on CNN, and there he is at 9 o'clock, and he's a lawyer. You know, don't give me that we should be giving anybody the presumption of innocence. Oh, no. No, we want to be a Stalin-esque society, that if Joseph feels that you're disloyal, he can put a bullet in your head. That's what we want to be in America.
I just started reading The Trial by Kafka last night. But I only picked it up because, if I remember right, the trial is about a guy who all of a sudden is accused of something, stands trial. He doesn't know what he's even accused of. And he's going through a trial. This struck me last night as I saw one of her conditions was that Kavanaugh had to answer to the charges before she testified.
Right. I mean, how is that
just or fair?
So out of control. And this is what you're seeing in colleges when you had any student who was accused of anything had to go before a star chamber, and they were basically thrown out before any evidence was presented.
Right.
And this is what Chris Cuomo wants. And I'm going to read that Kafka book right after I finish Addicted to Outrage.
Wow. I appreciate that, Bill, and I really, truly do believe that you got up at 6 to read it this morning, too. With everything in me, I believe that. All right, Bill O'Reilly, hang on just a second, from BillO'Reilly.com. His book is coming out, and I noticed on Amazon the algorithm says they're frequently bought together. Bill O'Reilly's new book on the death of the Nazis, which is just riveting, and my book, which I think is even more riveting, a little smarter, bigger words in mine, I think. Word of the day, bigger words. I have some of the best words. Anyway, you can find it now anywhere books are sold. The audiobook is great, Addicted to Outrage.
Glenn Beck.
So, Bill O'Reilly, what do you think about the woman who has really no evidence at all, no one backing up her story? Her friend that said, "Oh, I heard a buzz about this," later the next day said she was empowered by the internet to say those things. She doesn't know if it's true, and she doesn't want to talk about it, and she deleted the tweet. That's as good as it gets. You have a he said, she said, and this woman is coming on, and she is demanding that the GOP, does a few things. She said Kavanaugh has to testify first. There are no outside counsels that can question her. She wants them to subpoena Mark Judge, and she has to have her safety guaranteed. First, the last one, okay, fine. What do you think of the other ones?
Ridiculous. Look, I appointed all of my viewers on BillO'Reilly.com as jury members for a civil case regarding the Kavanaugh situation. I said the preponderance of evidence is what you have to rule on. And here's the evidence. When this happened, allegedly happened, 36 years ago, was anybody told about it? Okay. Who would be told about it? The parents? Of course, right? If this happened and the way she describes it, you would tell your parents. You would assume, or your brother, or your sister, or your best friend. You start there. Why was no one told? No school report, nothing.
You could make the case that, a woman, and especially a 15-year-old girl, is embarrassed. I brought it on myself. I don't want to tell my parents because I was drunk.
Anybody. I have a 15-year-old. I don't know anyone being assaulted who wouldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. I just don't. It's just not human nature. And then all those years, you don't tell anybody. Nothing happens until a marital session, a counseling session, where the therapist writes down that the Dr. Ford said there were 4 boys in the room. And now Dr. Ford says there were 2 boys in the room and says the therapist made a mistake. Therapists don't make those kinds of mistakes. That's an amazingly traumatic experience. All right? They don't make those kinds of mistakes. So I'm presenting evidence that Dr. Ford herself has confirmed, not evidence that Bill O'Reilly's pulled out of the air. And I'm just saying to myself, if you look at the pattern of what she says happened, and then you look at who she has hired to represent her, the most
and who she is,
progressives in the country.
Right.
You can't not draw a political implication. It's impossible.
So you did the civil court,
Yes.
which convicted O.J. Simpson. The standard in civil court is just a preponderance of evidence, not beyond a reasonable doubt.
I wanted my listeners to evaluate, because in criminal court you can't do it. Number one, there were no charges filed, all right? And number two, there isn't one shred of evidence from that night. She doesn't even know where it happened. So how could you possibly have an investigation? How?
And you also have a pattern in recent history of one woman saying something, which opens up the floodgate for all these other women to say something. There hasn't been anyone.
Did you see the Hollywood ad put out by Move On? Did you see those actresses, Julianne Moore and those other people?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just it depressed me. I go, are you American citizens or what? I mean, what are you doing? And everybody says Salem witch hunt, Salem, Salem. This is Salem. This is exactly what happened there.
Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com will continue our discussion here in just a second and get his opinion on what happens next. What does he see coming next week with the hearings and testimony?
Glenn, Beck, Mercury.
You're listening to the Glenn Beck Program.
Bill O'Reilly, just would like to know if this is one of those days that you say, man, I wish someone would take the president's phone away from him. He has just tweeted, I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she said, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement authorities by either her or her loving parents. I ask that she brings those filings forward so we can learn the date and the time and the place. Should the president be tweeting and getting involved in this?
I'm not sure. I think that, with all modesty, he did that because he read my message of the day yesterday, which said exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
They monitor me. May I read you 2 paragraphs of today's BillO'Reilly.com message of the day? May
sure.
I? Just very short.
Sure.
And I'll read it slow so Stu can keep up.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
The Judge Kavanaugh Christine Ford case is now expanding to the midterm election. There is no question that Dr. Ford's lawyers, working with the Democratic Party, are trying to embarrass Republicans and bait the party into denigrating the accuser. So this situation is no longer solely a possible criminal act designed to derail a nominated Supreme Court justice. Now it has become a national election issue designed to cripple President Trump. And that's exactly what's happening. Now, Trump took the bait. He took it. Now, you have to ask, is that a good or bad thing? I believe that the tide of public opinion is turning against Christine Ford at this point, Friday. That could change by Monday. But right now, I think that people are saying, you know what? We've had enough of this. We have had enough of the accusations, and there are so many holes and arrogance. We won't do this. We won't do that. You have to do this. Americans don't like that, Beck. They don't. They're standing back. They want to know what happened. They want the truth. But I'm telling you, I'm feeling the winds change here.
Okay, so I would agree with you. I just had dinner here in Los Angeles with somebody last night who is a liberal. Everybody here is a liberal. And he said, this Kavanaugh stuff is nuts. It's crazy. I don't believe her. He said the Democratic Party, if they continue to do this kind of stuff and run left, he said, I don't know who I'll vote for. He said, if they run Cory Booker or Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren, he said, I can't vote for them. I can't vote for any of those people. He said, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And this is coming from a guy who works in Hollywood, and he's a Democrat.
Anything. He better not say anything.
No.
Right, his job will be right out the window in that totalitarian thing out there.
Yeah.
Look, what you're having now is, I would never say that I don't believe Dr. Ford. I would never say that because I don't know.
Correct.
And I'm a fact-driven guy. So far in this conversation, which I think has been excellent between you and me,
Yes.
we have presented facts. We've stayed away from speculation and politics. Facts, okay? And that's what everybody needs to see. But once you get into a position where your radical left attorney, all right, a woman who disparaged Paula Jones and stuck up for Al Franken, when that woman is telling the Senate Judiciary Committee, look, this is what you're going to do. You're going to do this. or we're not showing up. Once you get there, fair-minded Americans are going to say, you know what? Blank you. And that's what's happening.
So Bill, what are the ramifications if she put all of these ridiculous restrictions? That Kavanaugh has to testify before her.
Yes, I mean
that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
So, but they're shrewd in the sense they put Grassley, the head of the Judiciary Committee, in a real vise. Because if Grassley says, you don't tell me what to do, then he doesn't want to know the truth. Then he's persecuting the victim. Then the Republican Party don't care about women. You see?
Right.
They set it up that unless you do it my way, that you don't care about.
Here's what I would like everybody in Washington to start caring about, and that is the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, which boils down to care about all humans, care about every single American and their rights. This has huge ramifications. Because I think personally, we are down now to the whole country is going to watch. If she cries and is sympathetic, the sympathy will change. She doesn't need any more evidence. It's now just down to which one is more sympathetic, which one is puts on a better show, and coupled with which one will the media get behind. We already know the first one.
That's going to be.
Right.
That's a good point, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that because I think the battle lines are hardened, and I think a lot of people have already made up their minds, even though I think they should keep an open mind on this. But I think a lot of people have said, she's making it up or he did it. But you have a situation that is out of control and being used now not only to derail Kavanaugh, but to get Trump. And that's what people ought to know. That connection is now being established. I'll go back to the first thing I said. Who is paying Dr. Ford's lawyers? Who is paying them? And, of course, the press would never ask that question or bother to look because when you find out who's paying, you'll see that it is a arch leftist group and big money's going in.
All right, let me change subjects, kind of. Let me go overseas. This story broke yesterday, and I saw an op-ed from Jonathan Turley on it. The far-right political leader, Marine Le Pen, has been ordered into psychiatric evaluations after she posted graphic images of bodies of people executed by the Islamic State. She was accused under French laws, criminalization, different forms of speech, laws that are rolling back free speech all over the continent. Posting the pictures meant she was charged now as circulating violent messages that incite terrorism or pornography or serious harm human dignity, and that can also be viewed by a minor. She also posted pictures after the Paris terror attacks of the images of the U.S. journalist that had been desecrated or decapitated in that attack. And she wrote, Daesh this. She's now being brought in to see if she knows the difference between right and wrong and can answer questions truthfully if she knows what reality is. Then she's going to go to trial, and she could receive 9 years for posting accurate pictures of what Islamic extremists do to people. Any thoughts?
I think it's a great opportunity for Ms. Le Pen, because people are going to say it happened, and she's warning us of what this group is capable of. So why are you making her a martyr? So if she wants to be Joan of Arc, I'm keeping it in France, thank you, she can be. So you use the insanity of, I see what they're trying to do over in France and other countries. They don't want to incite people against Muslims so that they're not beat up on the streets. I understand. It's almost like our legislation here, our hate crime legislation here. But Le Pen, and she's a shrewd person, she'll use this for her benefit.
Okay, so wait a minute. Hang on. It's not like it is over here, because you could post pictures of the Klan lynching people, and as long as it's clearly marked, this is what the Klan is. That's nobody's going to do anything about that.
But there are laws on the books here where you cannot threaten somebody. That's what I meant. So if you're walking down the street and there's a Muslim person and you go over to the Muslim person and say, you're a member of ISIS and you ought to get out of here and I want to hurt you or something like that, you'll be arrested. You can't do that. So that's what the law in France is designed to stop. They don't want that kind of confrontation to take place. Britain has it too. So you're in a position now where, yes, are they impeding freedom of speech and expression? Certainly they are. They don't value that on the continent as much as we used to. I don't think we do anymore because our totalitarian left is wiping out free speech. If you, to go back to the Kavanaugh for a second, if you speak out and say, I may not believe this, then you are attacking women. All women deserve to be believed. I mean, that crazy senator from Hawaii, Mazie Hirono. Kavanaugh did it. And don't you dare say he didn't do it, because if you do, then you're attacking women. I mean, come on. That's where we are, and that's where we're heading, into that area where you can't even question an accusation or an allegation anymore. And if you do, then you should be punished. If you question it, you should be punished. And Maisie will be the first one to try to do that.
It is. It's truly frightening to see how close we are to being dragged over the threshold back into the dark ages, where
Stalinism.
You could be. Oh yeah,
Stalinism. I mean,
exactly
that's
right.
what people, they don't understand that in a totalitarian society, you are not allowed to dissent. And in Hollywood, Beck, you're sitting in Hollywood. Are you allowed to dissent if you work in the show business industry, Beck? Are you allowed?
No.
Okay.
No.
If you're in the Democratic Party, are you allowed to vote for Judge Kavanaugh without having your campaign funds cut off by Chuck Schumer? Okay?
No, you're not. No.
You're not. You're not allowed. That's Stalinism. You're not seeing that on the right. As crazy as some of those right-wingers are, you don't see that kind of you're not allowed. But you see it on the left, and it is openly accepted by the media. You are not allowed to walk into the New York Times newsroom if you are a reporter wearing a Make America Great Again hat. You are not allowed. Everybody should know what's happening here. It is frightening, and it's going like a speed train.
It really is. It's picking up speed, going faster and faster. Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure. And Killing the SS out October 9th. Buy it with Beck's book. Get those two right in your house.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Bill.